What up YouTube, it's Ms. Raids Company. In today's video, I want to do a Inferno Necro raid build. So that is focused on single target, doing the most damage possible so you can help your warband or raid group progress farther in the new Inferno 1 or even 2 raids as fast as possible with your Necro. Without further ado guys, let's get straight to the video. All right, so in order to test this, instead of just jumping into an actual Heliquary boss, because I haven't done it with my warband raid as of yet, I'm going to do this in Mad King's Breach solo. At the very end of the video, I will showcase the build that I'm using and talk about some of the set item choices you can run. But without further ado, guys, let's get straight to entering the dungeon. We're going to clear the trash mobs at the very beginning, and then I'm going to let my cooldowns come back up before we actually jump into the boss fight. That way, you know, it's an actual test. And there's a little bit of min-max you can do, and we're actually going to treat this like a true raid with like a bit of an opener. I'm going to try to actually not use any of my other cooldowns except for my skeletones. Did I kill the last guy? I did. Sick. But yeah, I'm actually very much enjoying the Necro. I felt like it was a almost immediate value to my warband, although we are running several of them. But yeah, for some of the harder difficulties, that new skill that allows you to come back to life is actually pretty helpful, as well as bone armor that you can share to multiple allies. So I think Necro has a lot of single target damage as well as just overall usability when it comes to the raids. Go ahead and top off my health a little bit. All right, got on my cooldown. So the first thing you're going to want to note, let's go ahead and trigger him to spawn. Then we're going to back up a little bit. So you're going to notice on the whatever this is, the stances, I'm on the movement speed. I did that on purpose because I want to immediately activate my non-movement speed one, the attack speed boof, as soon as possible. And you're going to want to do that on every single raid. Consider that sort of like your opener, because that's going to increase your attack speed as well as your minions. So the first thing you want to do is drop all your minions, then pop it, and then you'll be doing a ton of damage. So let's go ahead and look at it. So your opener is going to look something like this. Get everything out, and then drop this, and then tab to get the speed boost damage, and now you can just damage. Pretty straightforward build, very similar to, I would say, what is the most common build, but I've also seen a lot of Necros running it, but does feel very good for single target damage. Don't have a ton of defense because you are using your bone armor for an attack buff, and you don't want to do what I just did, where you actually let my bone armor refresh before I had redone my mages. So I did lose out on a little bit of damage there, but all in all, you can tell I'm taking very little damage, even with close to no defense. And you can see that I do have that essence that allows my mages to potentially enrage, doing even more damage. So let's go ahead and pan over to the build for this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so for the build itself, these are the skills that I'm running. I'm running Soul Fire, Command Skeleton, Skeletal Mage, and then the Command Golem, and then obviously Bone Armor. I would not recommend Treasure Hunter. The Paragon tree that I was using right there, I want to say, I was actually using Treasure Hunter, but for most raids, I do run Duelist, especially with my warband right now, since we do have a lot of Necros. You can't really get the full balance out of Mastermind, but Mastermind is also a good option. Personal preference there between the two, but I definitely personally prefer Duelist. Now, in terms of the essences themselves, we're rocking the body that, so Thorns, Bone Armor now causes your summons to continually damage nearby enemies, but no longer protect them. So that's going to be the chest piece. Pants, we're running Bone Armor duration increased by 30%. For the first offhand, your golem will now split into 2 smaller golems when it dies. And then for the second offhand, we're doing Skeletal Mages now have a chance to be empowered, immediately casting a bone spell when summoned. This is a decent amount of damage, so I would definitely recommend doing this. Moving laterally over to the first main hand, Command Skeleton damage increased by 10%. Other main hand is Molten Golem. Command Golem now summons a Molten Golem that continually burns all nearby enemies instead of forcing them to attack it or stunning them. And then the shoulders is the one that I feel like most affection mages, most Necros use. So Skeletal Mage, maximum charge increased by 1. So it gives you a maximum of 2. Also helps you keep them up quite fluently. And then for the head, we're using Skeletal Mage duration increased by 30%. Now, for the set pieces, well, for you know, the charm. I have bone armor plus 2% damage, skeletal mage plus 2% damage. I'm not going to be staying on necro for an incredibly long time, which is why I'm not really focused on min-maxing this. I just wanted to get a couple, or I just wanted one bonus, and I got the bone armor one, which I do use for damage most of the time. And then when I leveled it up, I got the skeletal mage, and I was like, well, great, there you go, bonus. For the set pieces, I would, now this could be a hot take, I'm just going to start with that, but what I would recommend based off how this build plays is a 2-piece shepherd, which is not all that uncommon, which gives you the 15% increased damage to your summons. And then I want a 4-piece shell bass. The reason is that you get 15% increased damage for your primary attacks at the 2-piece, and then the 4-piece you get the more your auto attack, your primary attack, the higher you get your increased attack speed. Now, as you saw, basically all you're doing is front loading all of your summons. You're popping your stance to get the attack speed boof, and by boof I mean buff. That's a joke, so don't try to correct me. I know that it's buff, guys. But I always call it boof. Anyway, moving on. So boofs are being boofed, and then you're getting more attack speed. And yeah, so that's going to be the build, guys. So 2-piece shepherd, 4-piece shell bass. You get the additional attack speed, and you get the additional primary attack damage. And I believe I saw on a DM video that the shell bass actually does stack to your summons, which makes it even more broken. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this build. I've really enjoyed it for Inferno. We have about 2 weeks before, actually exactly 2 weeks before the brand new class comes to the game. And I think I'm going to be changing classes one last time before that happens, but that is a video for another time, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, lock it in.